I'm the only child in the family who is living with HIV, and I'm a second born of four children. So the history of me having HIV was I was raped when I was a bit younger. So between 5 to 7 years, I really can't tell well. So how I got to test for HIV, it came back around 2007 when I was often falling sick. And when this occurrence happened, I'm glad that my mom had the opportunity to share with my auntie, like two of my aunties got to know about this. So when I was often falling sick, I could be tested every time. Sometimes I could test for malaria and it's not there, but I was weak. Then my auntie was like, at some point, Daphne was raped, and we know that that family, uh, they are living with HIV. So it's very important that we test her for HIV. That is how I got to test for HIV.
Vibe Life UG. I'm glad you are watching. Thank you for always keeping yourselves here. Olwaleero kano ketukoze ka luzungu era mbakubiriza kati kano alowooza bulijjo nti tolumanyi kalabe kakuyambe okubeera nti weekakasa nti oluzungu olumanyi kuba wona akamalirako nga byonna bitwogedde yingira ng'obitegedde nga tewali nnyo kyamaanyi nti tetubyogedde mu Luganda tubyogedde mu Luzungu. Our viewers on Vibe Life UG, welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching this brand new show of Vibe Life. We've always brought different guests, we've covered different topics, and this time round we are covering a topic that is a little out of the normal. It's not entertainment, but this time round it's health. And to be specific, we are going to talk about HIV/AIDS. We have very interesting stories, very interesting testimonials, and we have a person who will help us about the many myths, or who can help us to know which is a fact and which is a myth. I have three beauty queens, all coming from Gulu. We will be asking one of them to introduce themselves as we go on. But briefly, I'm going to introduce Dr. Esther Karamaji, and as she says hello, I would love to dive into the gist of the matter. Doctor, you are welcome to Vibe Life. Vibe Life is a YouTube channel. We are watched by so many people, majorly Ugandans, but living in all parts of the world. And as we go on today, our viewers, please, any question out of what any of the beauty queens has said, or out of what the doctor has said, kindly put a comment. We will get a doctor to reply your comment. Or there is a number that you can send a WhatsApp message to. That's Dr. Izzy's number. It is down on the scroll. You can send a message. And if you are in Uganda, there is a toll-free number that you can call. Still, the toll-free number is also down there. Don't feel shy, feel free, and when you call, speak any language you are comfortable with to express yourself. Or when you are sending the WhatsApp as well, feel free to communicate in a language that you understand best. Dr. Esther, please, you can say hi to the viewers and Immediately, I want to ask you one straight question that perturbs a lot of people. What is HIV? What is AIDS? What is the difference? Is it the same thing? Why the two names?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm pleased to be on Vibe Live today. My name is Dr. Esther Karamagi Nkolo, and I work with the United States Agency for International Development, that is USAID. I support the HIV program in Uganda. So straight to answering the question, HIV in summary is a virus. It means human immunodeficiency virus. It's an organism, the bug. And then AIDS is the disease. In full, it's acquired immune deficiency syndrome. When you catch HIV and you don't get treatment, over time it progresses into what we call AIDS. So if you're walking around with and the HIV virus in you, but you're not sick, you don't have AIDS, you have HIV. Once you fall sick, you have both HIV and AIDS.
So HIV is the virus that causes AIDS.
Yes.
Good. Now, the other issue I would like us to talk about before we get to the main topic of today's discussion, Doctor, is about testing. Because for someone to know that they have HIV, they need to test.
Yes.
Just take us through. Oh, let me ask about the myth, because there are so many on the streets. Is it true that there is some medication I can swallow, and if tested it will come out negative? Say aspirin, or some people say when you take certain sodas, that if you take a soda, mix it with our local gin, waraji, when you take that and you get tested, it will be negative. Is there something like that?
No. The simple answer is no. There is no drug, medicine, drink, alcohol, or anything that can kill the virus for you to test negative. So HIV doesn't have a cure. There is no local, herbal, global, or international cure. You can't take aspirin and test negative. You can't take alcohol and test negative. You will
that
test
it goes
positive.
to sleep. When they test it, it's sleeping. So later on, it wakes up when they've already...
No. As long as you're infected with HIV, when you go for an HIV test, you will always test HIV positive.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Now, my other question is, if someone wants to test, we have people who go to pharmacies and buy self-testing kits. We have people who go to doctors. This has some myth in it. Someone says if you take blood from the fingertip, it might say yes when you are no, it might say no when you are yes. It's not conclusive. When they draw blood from the vein, that it will give you a different result. Some even go to the extent of saying you should draw blood from the toe. What is what as regards to where the blood is drawn?
So because we are not testing for the virus itself, but the reaction of the body to the virus, wherever we get the blood from, you'll get the same result. Whether you get it from the tip of the toe or the ears or anywhere, that reaction will show. We can also get it through saliva in the mouth. When we use the oral test kits, we can see that reaction, not the virus itself, but we'll see the reaction of the body to the presence of the HIV virus. So we will see that you're HIV positive regardless of where we get the sample from. So there are several types of tests, and sometimes you'll see your health worker saying that I'm going to test again. So that's just ministry's protocol to make sure that once we confirm that you're HIV positive, it is true that you're HIV positive.
Then there's this issue of CD4 count. I hope I've got it right. That's got to do with the viral load. and they draw a lot of blood. When do they get to that?
Yes, so CD4 cells are what is immune cells in your body. They're the cells that fight the virus. So they will test them they'll take some blood from you and test them in some cases when they want to know how advanced you are, how far you've gone with HIV, because if those CD4 cells, we usually call them soldiers. Everybody has CD4 cells. So the CD4 cells are fighting back when the virus is in your body. So if the virus is winning, you will find that most of the CD4 cells have died. So when we check, we'll find very low levels. So if the virus is not winning or you don't have HIV, those numbers will be higher. So we go for a CD4 test when we want to know how strong your immune system is, its ability to fight illnesses, and these cells fight many illnesses. Now there's a different test for the virus itself.
For that?
Yes, for the virus itself. This is a viral load test. Here we also take blood and we want to estimate how much of the virus you have in the body. That test is a different one from the CD4 cells, and all these tests are done for free in Uganda.
So any test regarding HIV is done free in all government facilities?
Yes, all tests are done free, and the health workers are trained. They know which test you need at which point in time.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clear some few myths and put away some issues which so many of us grapple with day in, day out, and they are always, these are some of the conversations that we have over a bottle of beer or a cup of tea, and I've decided to put them across to a medical doctor. And this is not a doctor like Dr. Vitone, but a medical doctor. She studied, she knows what she's doing, she's well trained, such that we can get it from somebody, from a point of knowledge. I have 3 beauty queens with me. If you want, you can count me lucky. It's not every day a man like me, much as I'm married, I get a chance to sit with 3 beauty queens. Moreover, from Gulu. I will ask them to introduce themselves one by one, and I'll come back after the introductions to ask them a few questions, and then we can go on.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Nasa Michelle Mitch, a young person living with HIV. Miss Y Plus, the reigning Miss Y Plus, and Miss Gulu University, and a student of Gulu University. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vibe Live. My name is Gladys Aol. I'm a young person living with HIV. I have lived with the virus for 26 years now. Thank you.
26 years?
Yes, because I was born with it, so it is now 26 years.
Thank you, viewers. Call me a Dr. Fenorium. I really want to thank Vibe Life for having this opportunity to have us speak to you. I'm a young person living with HIV. I was Miss Y Plus 2021, 2022, and I'm glad to say I've conquered HIV. I've lived with HIV for over a decade now, and I've been on treatment for 15 years. And still looking beautiful, thank you.
For 15 years?
Yes, I've been on ARVs for 15 years, but I have lived with the virus I tested positive for the virus 17 years back.
17?
So I'm 17 years knowing I'm HIV positive. Yes.
I want to start with you a joke. And is it okay to address you as a joke?
Yes, it's
okay.
fine.
Okay. What drove you to testing? Oh, if you don't mind, is it okay to talk about your age? How old you are?
Yes.
How old are you?
Okay, I'm 28 years old.
28?
Yes.
Wow. So, what drove you to testing?
Okay, the history about me having HIV is I'm the only child in the family who is living with HIV, and I'm a second born of 4 children. So the history of me having HIV was I was raped when I was a bit younger. So between 5 to 7 years, I really can't tell well. So how I got to test for HIV, it came back around 2007 when I was often falling sick. And when this occurrence happened, I'm glad that my mom had the opportunity to share with my auntie, like 2 of my aunties got to know about this. So when I was often falling sick, I could be tested every time. Sometimes I could test for malaria and it's not there, but I was weak. Then my auntie was like, at some point, Daphne was raped, and we know that that family, uh, they are living with HIV. So it's very important that we test her for HIV. That is how I got to test for HIV. So I was done the first test from SOS Children's Village Clinic back then. That was in 2007, around like late 2007. I was done a confirmatory test at Gulu Regional Referral, and immediately I was put on Septrin for 6 months. I started ARVs in 2008 March. I've forgotten the exact date, but it was in early March. That was when I started my ARVs in 2008. Yes.
When you started taking the ARVs, we have many stories about different people getting different reactions. And for the purpose of the viewers, we are sharing a lot of information here to help you, either to give you the courage to go and test, and if at all you've tested before, to be able to start treatment, and as well to know that you are not alone. There are other healthy living people, but with HIV. So it's the reason why we are sharing these experiences. Did you get nightmares? Did you dream about being in a coffin? Or did you dream about people eating food at your funeral when you started taking ARVs?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Yes, I did get side effects, but not of that sort. Yes, each time we fall sick, even a simple Panadol, all of us react to Panadol differently. So in the same as what? As HIV drugs. So me, when I started the treatment, I had nausea, I had other side effects, but it went with time because it came a point my body was okay. The fact that we have a new member of the family in, you understand?
In your body?
Yes, because when I started swallowing the ARVs, it was like a foreign body. It's like we don't know you very well. We don't know how you operate. So the body was trying to adjust to its presence. But trust me, right now, I am very okay. And like I'm very, very fine on my ARVs. Sometimes I even do my ARVs like before having breakfast, and it does not give me any side effect. But I'm not encouraging people to do drugs like to swallow drugs without having,
To swallow, it's not good.
To swallow drugs on an empty stomach. No, do not do that. But once in a while, yes, you know how you can get like caught up and you're like, okay, I'm going to take my breakfast in the next 30 minutes, but my ARVs cannot wait 30 minutes because this is a drug I need to take on time for it to work well. When it clocks 9 a.m. in the morning, whether I haven't taken breakfast, whether I haven't brushed, it's a must take. The rest can come in later. But for the rest of the family, who, especially those who are living with HIV, let's try to program ourselves and eat before we take
the medicine.
Yes.
Thank you. Before I go to Michelle and Gladys, Doctor, I want you just to clarify a little bit here. is it a must that when I'm on ARVs, I must take them at that particular time, every day, every week, every month, every year? Or as long as I take it within 12 hours, I can switch, take it today at 7 a.m., the other day at 11, the other day at 3 p.m.? Because she's brought it up, I would love us to get the doctor's clear advice on that.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. It is ideal that you take it at the same time every day because you're trying to maintain a certain amount of the drug in the body at any one time. So if you start switching, so at certain points it's going to go up and down. And all people with chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, they have this same situation. If they are going to take their drugs at 10 a.m., that's the time they take. What I want to make people know is that you can take it at any time. It's not a rule that it must be in the morning or in the night. What time works for you is the time you should choose to take, because we find a lot of people saying, oh, I'm always at school at that time, so I didn't take my drugs. Then why don't you choose another time? Take it in the night or at a time that works for you, so that every day at that time you can take the drug, so that you keep on taking it without missing it, other than missing, especially children, people who take care of children with HIV, they'll say that at that time the child is always sleeping. That's why I don't give them the medicine. Yet you can change the medicine time and agree with your health worker that for this child, this drug I'm going to give it at this time, because at that time, that's when they are maybe awake or at home or they've eaten, and it's the best time. So that's important for people to know. Don't miss your drug because the time you talked about with the health worker, you've gone home and it can no longer work. You need to find the time that works for you and take the drug at that same time every day.
And you maintain that
You maintain that time, yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I told you I am in the comfort of 3 beauty queens, and I basically just need to swing a little from one to the other. I know my director of photography, Mr. Badru, would have loved to be in the same seat, but he's behind the camera. Okay. Now, I have Michelle. Michelle, what's your surname again?
My surname is Mitch.
Mitch.
Yes.
We have Michi Guang here, but he's very prominent, Dr. Michi Guang. But for him, Mitch is the first name actually. His surname is Guang. Strange, yours, Mitch is the surname. How do you spell your Mitch?
M-I-C-H.
M-I-C-H. Okay. Much as you are a queen, I'll ask you to speak a little bit more loud,
right,
so people can hear you well. You are a young person living with HIV as well,
Yes.
and on treatment.
Yes, I am.
When you tested, what? How old were you when you tested?
I was 14 years old.
14 years.
Yes.
You could really understand what was around you and what was going on.
Yes, to some extent I could.
How did you feel?
Well, I think the test was not really meant for me. My aunt was sick in the hospital, and she just told me jokingly, let's do this test. And when we did it, it turned out positive. And of course, we were all shocked. And then at that time, I was okay. I was like, these things are they're not effective. Maybe the test strip was not working well. So after doing it it was a clinic, we moved to St. Mary's Hospital at Shore. They did another test, and then it was also again positive. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, okay, this is getting real. But my aunt refused to believe that. Then she moved me to Gulu University Hospital, and we did another test, and it also turned out positive. So that was 3 tests in a row, and it was in 3 consecutive days. And I said, okay, I'm going to start treatment, but I didn't really start treatment. So the first time they gave me the Septrin for the first 2 weeks. And during the first 2 weeks, I told my aunt not to tell anyone at home and not to tell the healthcare, that. So when I went home with the Septrin, so every day I would pick it up, look at it, and then sit back. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And then the 2 weeks when I went back to the clinic, I was told to, of course, do you want us to disclose to your parents? Like, okay, you can call my dad because I don't have the courage to tell him. But when they called him, his response is what actually prompted me to start taking. He answered and said, "Oh, so she has become a prostitute now." Then he hanged up. And then I was like, okay, I think I have to take this thing to prove him wrong that whatever he thinks is not real. So,
In all our discussions here, I'm not trying to point a finger with
Yeah.
my questions, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the viewers who might have similar questions. Were you sexually active when you took the test?
I think I have a similar story with Daphne.
Or
Yeah, but mine happened at school when I was like in primary 5. I have to admit, I wasn't really a very bright kid. So my parents decided to give me a teacher to coach me. That's how the sexual song came about. But at the time, the school covered it up in a way of saying, if you don't bring it out, we shall let her study for free. So my parents kind of just said, okay, this is like a financial burden being lifted. So I think during all that time, they thought it was okay and everything was, she's okay, she's not reacting, there is no illnesses. And I think that's why it was a very big shock that, oh, it has happened like this. Because that scenario, it was only known by my mom and my dad. My other relatives and the family didn't know about it. Yeah.
so, for how long have you been on treatment?
From 2015 to now, those are 8 years.
8 years now.
Yes, 8 years now.
Do you drink alcohol?
Sometimes.
And you don't get any reaction?
No, I don't get any reactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will come back to you. I'll come back to you on that. So when do you take your ARVs?
At 6 a.m. in the morning.
6 a.m.
Yes.
How many tablets are there? Is it one? Are they two? Are they four?
No, mine is 1 tablet a day.
1 tablet a day.
Yes.
Is it sour? Is it tasteless? Is it sweet?
I would say it's tasteless. Because I
It's
just,
tasteless,
yeah.
but it's not bitter or sour.
Maybe if you keep it in your mouth for long, because you know it's medicine, of course it's good to have that bitter taste. You keep it in your mouth for long.
Doctor, at that point, I want to come back to you. There are many myths out there. Are these tablets sugar coated like the chloroquine of these days? Because even when I was growing up as a child, chloroquine used to be very, very, very bitter. But today, chloroquine is actually not bitter because it is sugar coated. So are these tablets sugar coated as well to make it easy for somebody to swallow?
Now there are different tablets for different age groups. So the one she's describing is for adults. It's tasteless, as she's saying, and a few of the side effects that her job said. Some people get them and then they pass. But in the mouth, you take it, swallow it, it doesn't taste like chloroquine or quinine. It's not bitter.
It's the same way Panadol would taste. Because
Something like
Panadol
that,
is
yes,
tasteless,
tasteless.
aspirin is tasteless.
However, for children now, we made it strawberry testing because children need encouragement to take the drug. So the pill that they'll dilute in the water, the children get their pills and put them in water so that it mixes and forms a liquid. The liquid will be strawberry testing. So
It has a strawberry flavor.
Yes. So that's the main difference. The one of the drugs is strawberry testing. So when you mix everything and take, it tastes like strawberry. The adult drug is, as she has said, tasteless. So maybe unless others taste something else, but it's definitely not a bitter tasting.
It's
pill.
not bitter.
No.
It doesn't have any taste.
Good. Another beauty queen here to talk to. You're all from Gulu, right?
Sure.
A joke. I would like to find out. Sorry, Gladys. Gladys, sorry. I would like to find out from you. For how long have you been on treatment?
I started treatment in 2002. That was contraception prophylaxis, and then I got enrolled in ARVs in 2006. And that was when I got to know my status, but all this time around 2002 to 2006, I had no idea why I was taking that prophylaxis every day. And the tablets looked like Panadol back then because they were tiny, tiny. And mom would be like, "You're taking this because you always have headache and that." And I was like a young kid. But then when it clocked 2006, back then they used to do CD4. I think had really gone weak. So they needed to now start me on ARVs. And now that was when the blow came in. It was the real medicine. I didn't know their names up to now. I don't remember those names because I'm going through a lot of transitioning. As new drugs come, they keep changing me to new drugs. So I started my ARVs in 2006 until now. I'm on it. Yes.
I want to look at some real life experiences. What happens when a man walks to you and chats you up for a sexual relationship?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very exciting one. Believe me or not, yes, we are young people. We all have the feelings. Being HIV positive does not stop you from having feelings. These handsome men come to us, like to me, even when you don't expect them. Some of them come, even when you feel like I've disclosed my status, this man should not come to me. Still, they come to me. So real life is they always come, but the great thing the step that I made to myself is that I'll never ever start a relationship with any man without telling them my status. So that is what I do to anyone who comes to me. Whether I like you, whether I've not liked you, I inform you of my status so that you make your decision before maybe pressing. Like you know how men behave. A gentleman will always want to press and get to what they want. So once I have disclosed and told you what I am exactly, it will inform your decision on what you want to do. And that is what I've been doing all this time around. And now that I've gotten someone that I feel we are good to go, like we are compatible, we understand each other despite the status, I also went through the same way of disclosing my status.
So you have a partner you're living with?
Not really that I live with.
Okay, you are dating.
Yes.
You are in a sexual relationship.
Yes, I have a
I'm
partner.
sorry, I'm not being pushy, but I just want the Vibe Life viewers to understand us very well.
Yes, I do have a sexual partner. One sexual partner, not two, only one.
Only one.
Yes.
Are you? Is your sexual partner HIV positive? Is he living with the virus?
No, he's not living with the virus, and we take precautions every time. We will do what we are supposed to do, like we use condom. He started PrEP, so he's on PrEP prophylaxis to also help him as himself. I'm also adhering to my medication because adhering to ARVs is as well helping to prevent the other person from getting infected. So we are all trying to. My initiative is to help him not to get. He's also helping himself not to get the virus. Yes.
Michelle, are you dating?
Yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm dating, yes.
And he knows your status?
Oh, yeah, he knows my status.
And, you know his status?
Yes, I know his status.
Is it positive?
No, he's not positive.
I'll just come back to you, doctor. Is it possible for someone HIV positive but on treatment? Is it true that when someone is on treatment and has unprotected sex with somebody who is HIV negative, the person will not contract the virus?
That is not true because, as they've said, there are multiple things they do. They don't just wake up and take treatment get low viral load in their blood, and then have unprotected sex. She has said that her boyfriend is also taking PrEP. Then they are using protection during sex. There are multiple other layers of things. It's not one action. So the important thing, first of all, is to know the HIV status of the other person, so that if one is positive and one is negative, you work with the health worker to list the things you must do to make sure the HIV negative person remains negative. And so right now, after 30 years of HIV, we know some things that a couple can live together when they are discordant. We call that discordance. They can live together and one is negative and one is positive, but they must be doing those things. If they are not doing them, then like any other person, the virus will be transmitted. And shall say the key one, take your drugs and keep the viral load low.
Just for clarity, our viewers, please, if you have any question, if you have a suggestion, if you have a comment, we have a number that you can send a WhatsApp message to. That's Dr. Izzy's number. You can send him a message in any language that you are comfortable with. Then as well, if you are in the country, there is a toll-free number. Abatulaba yadde kali mu luzungu naye luzungu lwangu lw'abaana baffe bawano bannayuganda. Wansi awo waliwo ennamba osobola okuweerezaako message eya WhatsApp, Dr. Ize n'akuddamu. Weereza mu lulimi lw'osinga okutegeera okusobola okubeera nti ofuna okuddibwamu. Waliwo n'ennamba ey'obwereere nayo weeri wansi awo osobola okugikubako. Naye ate ne bw'oba nga tusobodde ebyo byonna, genda mu comment section wansi, buuza ekibuuzo kyonna ky'oyagala oba wa ekirowoozo kyo kyonna, ojja kuba ng'ofuna okuddibwamu. Doctor, I want us to tackle the main issue that we are going to talk about today, which is treatment. When someone walks into a facility, a health facility, and is diagnosed with HIV, what is the professional recommended step to take?
Okay, so thank you. I think I can start by explaining what's going on in the body of that person, if that's fine. So I'll use my beads here to illustrate.
Okay.
Yes, so I have 3 bottles here and I'll use them to illustrate. The black balls in here represent very healthy cells. They're cells in the body.
Come again on that?
The black balls
Okay.
represent healthy. These are body cells that are working well. It's
Okay.
not HIV. The red is the only HIV. So this is how the body looks like when you've just got HIV. It has entered wherever it has passed, and then it looks like this. The rest is healthy. So what happens? You don't know. You continue living your normal life because it doesn't show on the face.
Doctor, I'm sorry, I'll keep interjecting just for the benefit of our viewers.
Yes.
If I have just caught HIV and my body cells are all black, which means healthy.
Yes.
But I have this
HIV virus.
HIV virus. When tested, can it show positive?
3 months after you acquire HIV,
That's when
it will test positive.
positive.
Yes, so you'll hear people saying, if you had sex yesterday and you go for a test and it's negative, come back after 3 months. That's why. So this virus will show, because as I said, we are testing the reaction of the body to the virus. It needs time to react. So we'll test positive after 3 months. This is how you look, your blood to us. This is how we visualize. You have one virus in there, but you're healthy. The rest are healthy.
Okay.
Now you may stay for 2 months, 3 months, a year, 10 years. You're doing nothing about it. You're not testing. You don't know you have HIV positive. So the virus multiplies very fast and starts to look like this. So the black ones have reduced. The red ones are now the majority. The red is the virus. Yes, so this is how most people appear at the clinic, in this version for the first test. Because this period, this is just 3 months. And then you start moving more and more to more and more red. So we will test you, you will be HIV positive. Now, it's up to you. We work with you to understand the disease and what to do. So what happens if you do not take your medicine, because we offer you drugs, ARVs. And let me point out that these days, as soon as you test positive, we give you ARVs. We don't start with any other drug like we used to do before, Septrin and so on, like the beauty queens have been saying. Test positive, we offer you ARVs. There and then we cancel you, discuss, give you information, but we offer. So once you take your ARVs every day at the same time, you go back to this. Your blood goes back to this. Once you don't take your ARVs every day, then your blood goes to this. What is this? This is red, virus is dominant. The black is very little. And this is when we start seeing AIDS. This is when we start seeing diseases visible. Now remember, all along, someone is walking around, you can't see the HIV. So what we are saying really is that to move, when you are at this stage, you can move this way or you can move this way. You work with your health worker and you make a personal choice to start treatment and to take the treatment every day. If you start treatment and you miss some days, you will progress to red. If you start treatment and you take it
Meaning when
every
you
day,
progress to red,
yes,
out of either not taking the medication
Yes.
as told by the health worker, your body will have more virus
then
cells than normal cells.
yes,
If you take your medication as per the health worker's guidelines,
yes,
this is how your healthy body will look like.
yes. And then you will move around like any other person who doesn't have HIV. But I must say that at whichever stage you're at, when we do an HIV test, it will be HIV positive. Even if you're at this stage, when we do an HIV test, it will be positive.
There is a saying that when someone takes ARVs for a long time, they reach a level where when you test them, it actually shows negative. Is that possible?
No, there is no time the HIV test will test negative when you have HIV. What will happen is you will, these red cells, which I'm calling the virus, they can reach a point when we do a test and we can't count them, we can't see them, they are undetectable using the tests we have. That means that's what we call viral load. So the viral load is so low that we are calling it suppressed. That is why the beauty queens were saying, what I do with my partner, I take my drugs, so that she's like this. So when she's like this and she's having protected sex and the partner is taking PrEP, PrEP will kill this one if it's in the first, the first few hours of, even if it crosses successfully, to kill it, the red. So the person will always test positive for HIV, but the virus, the number of virus copies in the blood can reduce so much that we can't detect it. Because when we do an HIV test, we are not looking for the virus itself. We are looking for the body's reaction to the virus. But when we do this test to check whether you're doing well, how are you doing on treatment, then we will be looking for the virus itself to sort of estimate about in which
stage of, let's say, of the three.
Yes, where are you? So that's what usually the health worker wants to know, where are you? So you've come to visit me, I gave you ARVs, you've been swallowing them for a year, you're telling me everything is okay. I run this test and I find you here. What does that mean?
Have not been taking
suggests most likely you're not taking. So what we do, we go and do other tests to find out, this drug you're swallowing, does it work? They do those in labs in Uganda. So when they check and they find that the drug you're taking and saying you're swallowing, it's killing the virus in the lab, that means that it's you who is not swallowing. So we start supporting you to make sure we find out, why aren't you swallowing? Is there a problem at home? And so on. So we give you that support. But if we test it, of course, and these are very few cases, very few, that less than 1%. Most likely people live and they don't even meet such patients who we test and find that the drug doesn't work. But if we find that we have the test, we can tell this drug doesn't work, we will check other drugs in the country. The drug you're on is not working, we will check in the lab. So which one works? Then we will know that for this particular patient, give them this drug. Then we will give you the drug which works for you, and you'll start swallowing it.
Let me just get this clear. You have different types of ARVs.
Yes.
And it is possible, I would use the example of the 3 butaquins we have here, that it is possible that Michelle is taking A, she's taking D, and Ajok is taking F, but they're all ARVs.
So
Or do you have one type, one shoe fits all?
So we have most patients on the same type. Most patients in the country will respond to one type. So most of the people you find on ARVs are going to be on the same drug. However, in those rare cases where that one drug for one reason or another is not working, we change. We have others. But when you go to the clinics or to people with HIV, they are mostly taking. And the drug, as I said at the start, is different by age. So people of a certain, above 30 kilos, it's the same drug. Then people who are younger, you'll find that they're changing by weight and increasing the number of pills and so on, but it's a different drug from the adult drug. But they are all ARVs. And there's always one where which the majority of the people are on. And you'll find it in all health facilities. So once they have to be switched to another one because this one is not working, which is very rare, most times the patient did not swallow the drug.
The medicine.
Yes, and we have tests that can tell us that the patient did not swallow.
Vibe Life UG, I request, please subscribe. Feel free to share this link, and as well, you are free to comment. We are still going on into having a discussion. It's not the usual. For those who love the usual programs that we'll do, don't worry, we will be bringing them more often. But we felt obliged, when requested, to do something that can help me and you live better by knowing our status, and as well, if positive, taking the further step of starting treatment. Just like I was saying, this is not the usual. I know some of our viewers are wondering, moreover, are wondering why the communication is in English. We've decided to use English because this is the language which majority of the Ugandans understand, and this is our official language. But don't worry, we will be back with more programs as usual in our local language, and back with the jokes and the satire and everything. But don't forget, this special program is brought to you by USAID. And as I've been telling you, please comment. Feel free to share this link. It might help somebody out there. And in case you have any question or query or suggestion on the topic that we are discussing, please go to the comment section, put it there. You can as well send a WhatsApp message to Dr. Easy. The number is down there. And in case you are in Uganda, there is a toll-free number you can call and ask as many questions as possible. Now, back to you, Dr. Esther. My previous question was, we deviated a bit away from that question. I said, when I go and test, what is the next step? What should I do next?
Okay. So if you bought the testing kit in the pharmacy and you test at home, you want to go to the clinic and they will repeat the test. If you're at the clinic, the good thing, you're surrounded by skilled health workers. So what they will do, they will start immediately to give you counseling and explain all these things that we are discussing here. Go through all that again, explain what is HIV, what is AIDS, what is ARVs, what you have to do, and so on. But the key things you will take home are just a few. One, take your medicine every day. Don't miss it. That is the key message. Another one is, as you've heard the beauty queens say, who do you want to disclose to? Who do you need to disclose your HIV status? Who needs to know? The reason why this is important is because you need to swallow medicine every day. People are going to, who you live with will see. So you need support from them. You don't need criticism or questions, then you have to hide the medicine and so on. That doesn't help our patients because they then don't miss, it makes them miss the medicine. So you hear the health worker talking to you a lot about disclosure, telling some people who can form a support unit around you. Yes, and then the next thing what you'll hear them asking you about is, who else do you want us to test in your life? Who are you having sex with? Who is your sexual partner? Do you want us to test that person? Who are your children?
I'm sorry for laughing, doctor, but that is a very contentious issue of someone's calling somebody and says, "Hello, Tom, can you come to the hospital for testing as well?" I want to put it to someone who has been there. Have you ever had a situation where you had to ask somebody to go for a test?
Yes, as a person living with HIV, and like my fellow queens have said, living with HIV is not the end of the world. We live through it, we outlive it. That means we get, at some point you get into relationships. You get, so it is a program that is there, that when I am having sex with someone, I need, like, we are in a sexual relationship, it's very important that that person gets tested as well.
Before?
No, I can't even test it, like I'm on treatment right now. So the partner I have now, it is very important that I take him for testing so that they get also to know his HIV status. That is, if he doesn't know his HIV status, and get more information on HIV, because HIV moves from one person to the other. That is kind of the major ways HIV is being carried around. So let's say maybe they'll look at trying to advise so that you can look at what best works for you as a couple, how you're going to live your life, to ensure that if you are negative as my partner, you remain negative. And if you're positive, both of us are started on treatment, so that we ensure that we do not reinfect, because there is reinfection after infection. I can have HIV but get reinfection from my partner. You understand? And the doctor will bring it in a medical term. Now, when you get reinfection, it can disorganize your treatment, your adherence, how well you take your drugs. You understand? So if we are both positive, that means both of us have to be very loyal in our treatment. That's why it's always very important. They will trace for you. It's not kind of like a pinning, like a spot someone or something, but they're looking at how best can we protect the people you're having sex with, because one person can have more than one sexual partner, and it's always not a force. They will tell you how best can you have these people come. Is it okay if we intercept? Good enough, we have very, very trained health workers at facilities. They know how to approach. Trust me, they know how to approach the partners. So you don't get to stress so much. Yes.
Okay, back to you, doctor. So after testing, in case you're positive, straight away the health workers that we have in the country know how best to offer counseling services and start you on treatment. Where are these services? It generally, because life is viewed countrywide. Where are the services? Especially, let's stick to the free services.
Yes, so all government health facilities will offer free HIV testing services, and then the ones that are slightly bigger will offer the treatment. So where you see a government health facility, there's going to be HIV care, test prevention, care, and treatment. Now, If you go to a very small health facility, maybe one village clinic, and they tell you that maybe we can test, but after you're positive, we don't have the drugs because it's very small, they will still be attached. There's always people from the bigger health units who will say maybe come down once a month or once every 6 months. So any government health facility you find is the starting point.
Yes. The starting point.
Yes.
Now,
although I didn't finish, I wanted to tell you that we also want to know, once we find you HIV positive, we want to know your biological children. Yes, because we want to test them also for HIV. Because as we've said, you can be born, you can get it. Yes, you can get it. So if we find someone who is HIV positive, that's usually the starting point to decide who else to test. And so we use, as she said, the skills of the health workers, which have been built over 30 years. We've learned a lot how to approach this situation. They may, for example, give you self-test kits and you go home with them, or they'll say, come and bring them to me, or I can talk to them later, or come. There are multiple approaches, but what we want to know is the status of your sexual partners and biological children of the female patients.
There's this scenario. Most men don't like going for testing. And when their wives get pregnant and gets tested, then the man says, we are okay. You see, they tested Madame the other day and she's okay, when she was pregnant. Would that man be right? Because he's having a sexual relationship with his wife. The wife is even pregnant. They've tested the wife. So the man is free to, is it okay for the man to claim that he's fine because they've tested his wife?
Yes, I thought you'd ask me about that myth. That is a very big myth in all highly educated people or people in the rural area, all Ugandans. Your HIV status cannot be determined by anyone else's HIV test. You have to go and do your own HIV test and know your status, because imagine the stories we've had here, and then you imagine you're believing that because of this current relationship and the way we are, I must be HIV negative. No. Or I must be HIV positive. No. You need to go and test. Use your own blood to find out your HIV status, not someone else's test.
So I can't rely on my wife's results?
No, you cannot, and those are mistakes people make, and then you will advance to red because you're assuming you have the same status.
Now, what are the current types of treatment that we have? And as you answer that, we have stories flying around that so and so goes for blood transfusion, and when they do blood transfusion, all the blood with the virus is flushed out, if I can use that word, and then is given new blood, so is okay. In the local terms, some people say, what do you have to say about that? One, the types of treatment. Two, the blood transfusion bit.
Okay, so all ARVs in Uganda are pills. We are not giving out in the free medicine, we are not giving out injections or anything else. They are pills, and for children, there are pills which can be put in water, and then they take.
They are soluble.
Yes, we call them dispersible. They mix it in water and you can take. So in Uganda, they are not giving out free ARVs that are injections or other types of medicine. Yes. So the ministry chooses the best ARVs for the country and brings those high volume so that everybody can access. So you can't bring a few of these and a few of that. Then it doesn't work. Yes. So we don't have also in Uganda that type of thing of changing the blood or trying to get this blood and you put in new blood and you become like this. That doesn't exist. First of all, but in blood transfusion.
Besides, because, Doctor, our viewers are all over the world. We have people in Portugal, we have people in Australia, we have people in the US, we have people in United Arab Emirates, we have people all over. some of your answers, I beg you realize that they are being consumed by majorly Ugandans, but living across the world. Is it possible from a medical perspective that I can do blood transfusion and I will move from this or this to this by blood transfusion?
Well, first of all, it wouldn't be, because transfusion is going to be a very small amount of blood to the amount of blood you have. So what you seem to be describing is you come to a person, take out all, because transfusion is just add, and then put in new. This is something I haven't seen. If it
medically, that's not possible.
Well, if it has started somewhere, I haven't seen it, and it hasn't reached here.
Okay.
Yes, but some countries have injection ARVs.
Some countries have started
countries
that.
have. You can get injections as ARVs.
Oh,
yeah.
But in Uganda, you haven't reached that level yet.
It's not. Yes, it's not where the ministry. It's not what the ministry has chosen as the best option for us, because we have a variety, like different contexts. Some are truck drivers, some are moving across borders, some work in the night, people have a variety of lifestyles here. So we try to get the best drug, which
can cut across.
Yes, which can cut across.
Now, is it okay to take my beer when I'm doing ARVs?
Yes, the person who is like this in the black is no different from any person who doesn't have HIV. They can do whatever else, including taking beer, that someone who is HIV negative can do.
I know smoking cigarettes might cause cancer, but I will still ask the question, is it okay for a smoker, for someone taking ARVs to smoke?
Well, it's not different from the one who doesn't take ARVs or the one who is not HIV positive. The harm that it will do to an HIV negative person is the same harm it will have on an HIV positive person. The HIV doesn't change the effect of smoking on your body.
Okay. Michelle, in our closing remarks, what is it that you would love to share with people your age in helping them either avoid catching HIV or in helping them know their status, or some information? You seem to be very exposed in terms of having so much knowledge. What is it that information you would like to share to help people on treatment?
For people my age on treatment, I would love to say I work as a peer counselor. I didn't do it as a course, but through experience. I believe when you're positive, it comes to a lot of mental health issues. Because of the stigma and the discrimination and the ideas we have in the community, it has a toll on your mental health. So I would advise positive young people my age and lower, or our children. I would advise, if they're children, the parents should always talk to them, encourage them, and create a safe space where they can easily share the ideas. Then people my age, you should surround yourself with positive energy, people who are like-minded. That really helps you a lot to maintain your positive lifestyle. Then I would also advise someone who is really positive to know as much as they can on their treatment. Know what drug you're on. Know all these myths and misconceptions. That when someone says something against you, you have a comeback, and then you know the basic truth, and you can't really be put down because of what someone said. And then I would also advise, I think some of our issues as positive young people come from non-disclosure. I'm not saying you should stand out and tell everyone if you're not comfortable with it, but don't, when you're getting into relationships, make sure the person knows, and make sure you know their statuses. Because some people approach you knowing you're already positive in order to put a blame on you as the person who has infected them, or to make themselves feel better. So I think that's my advice to all young people. And then I know we're all having that libido, but guys, at least have one sexual partner. And if you feel like you can't hold it, use condoms. And if maybe you end up drunk somewhere and you feel like things didn't turn out right, look for that pep and I mean, save your own self. So thank you very much.
Gladys, same to you. What is it that you would want to share with uh, the young people, your age mates out there,
Irrespective of their status now.
irrespective of their status?
Thank you very much. I would say there is a lot of things that young people have to do as us right now, because when you look at the HIV prevalence, it is attacking our age group the most. That tells you that there is a lot of things that me as a person living with HIV that I have to do, and as well that very person who is HIV negative that has to do. One, I'll pin on the different prevention methods that have been availed to us by the ministry. Ideally, these methods are available. Some of us, we do not know about the information, but then some we even know about this information, about these commodities that are in store. We don't want to go and access these commodities, and yet they're already available for us. The government has tried as much as possible to make them to a sub-county level, like that is a whole center theory, but then still you feel like it is very far from you. Please, can we embrace these different prevention methods that are available for us? I know we have PrEP. If we don't have the information, yes, they said you can call on us to know more. There is PEP that is available. We have condom. We have the PEP vaginal ring that is currently in study, which still the adolescent girls and young women who are really being attacked the most can really use. And then to the ones who are actually negative, positive already, I would encourage these very young people who are already positive in care to adhere so much to their medication, because any HIV will start with us. That is when we take our medication really very well, so that we don't also overlay with the burden on the government. We know our government has a lot of things to do, but when we take our medication very well, we shall remain on our first line. And then at the end of the time, we shall really look healthy as well. And then to these people who are HIV negative, still, I would request you, if possible, if you know someone who is still being stigmatized, we know there is self-stigma that is really eating young people so much. The community might not be speaking this time round so hard, but then there is that one that comes from within yourself, because she infected me and you feel like I'm worthless and this. Maybe you had unprotected sex with someone who is positive, and then you've even not tested. You've tested and you're negative, but you're not sure yet. There is a way they start being like, I am not worthy, I'm not this. Please let us come together and support. Mostly someone who is on PEP. Efficiency for PEP seems not to be so high compared to PrEP, because people tend to be reluctant. Can we apply the dots on these people who come for PEP? Because when you really support them, you directly observe to help them take these medications. And to us who are sexually active, just like my queen Michelle has said, let us really embrace disclosure. When you're in a very healthy relationship, your partner will remind you to take your medication. I have a very good treatment supporter, by the way. He reminds me every time. So that tells you that.
Your boyfriend?
Yes. He reminds me every time. When clocks age, be like, honey, take your medication. So that tells you if you're disclosed, life gets really so much easy for you. So the responsibility is in us. We are the community that this is affecting, and it is us who will come together and end this HIV. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A joke. You have almost the same information you are giving. I want to find out, and I want to do this specifically for people in Gulu, because the three young ladies, the young queens here are from Gulu. So this is a bit for Gulu in particular. Are there places where one can get free testing kits in Gulu?
Yes. Yes.
At the government, Lacho, I know Lacho Hospital, I know Gulu Referral Hospital.
Yes. My dear young people, especially those in Gulu, you can get HIV test kits at Gulu Regional Referral. At most of our health secretaries have them, but most importantly, uh, even at Gulu University, they are free test kits, but we are just not utilizing them. My advice to them is we have these test kits around, they're lying around there, but you choose to go to pharmacies which are,
Buy.
to buy test kits, to test from clinics, which is okay, but you can actually access this
Free of
free
charge.
of charge at any of the health facilities I've mentioned. Yes, they are there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Doctor, because we might be running out of time, I just want to have a question for you. Food is very key when on medication, because even if it's not HIV, if I have malaria, if I have pneumonia, basically if I'm taking any medication, it's prudent to take medication on a full stomach. Just briefly, what is the right food to take? Because to a layman, in Luganda we have a saying, oyalya bulungi, because he's eating matoke and beef. If so somebody could say, I can't take my medication because I don't have money to buy matoke and beef. Whereas medically, it could actually be posho and beans. So when you say someone must eat or must be well fed, what is that food or the bare minimum that they can have that you would recommend from a medical perspective? I don't know if I've made myself clear.
Yes, you have. And when we talk of a balanced diet in general, in health, it's the same balanced diet for people with HIV as well. So they need to take the carbohydrates, that is posho, rice, potatoes, cassava. The president mentioned cassava, different carbohydrates. They also need to take proteins, that is beans, peas, nuts. If you want the meat, the fish, and so on, whatever protein your community takes. And then they need to take the vitamins, that is the vegetables, beetroot, and carrots and dodo, whatever vegetables that community has. And Uganda is not short of these varieties of food. So the balanced diet and the quantities you give a 17-year-old boy without HIV is the same that the 17-year-old boy with HIV needs to eat, because he needs to go play soccer, but he also needs to take his food. What we don't want to see is malnutrition, kwashiorkor, marasmus, and then someone has to swallow ARVs, because that becomes a very difficult thing to do.
Okay. Do you have anything special that we've not tackled that you would want to tell the viewers, Doctor, in regard to HIV treatment?
Yes, I want to tell the adolescents and young people, because as you've heard from these stories, there's a lot of issues going on in your mind. So I want you to know that the health workers know those issues, because they've worked with many adolescents and many young people. We know that if you got HIV as a child, your parents did not tell you for a long time, and that disturbed you. And we know that because of that, you get angry with the parents and the relatives, and you don't swallow your medicine. We also know that when you go to boarding school, you don't want everyone to know. Then maybe the teachers don't know, and when they see you, the fellow students may give you names, so you hide the medicine, and some days you don't swallow. We also know that when you're trying to live with a sexual partner or a boyfriend and girlfriend, you get scared about telling them your HIV status, and so that makes you not swallow your medicine that day when you're with them. So all these scenarios, we know them, and that's why we have young peers like our beauty queens today at the health facilities. When you go to the health facilities and you have this thing on your mind that's affecting you, your swallowing of your medicine, ask for the young peers and speak in detail to them, because they know what you're going through and they've solved it. They know what you can do if you're in boarding school, if you're in day school, if your parents are not there, if you're reliving, if you're working, they have all the solutions. So what we've tried to do is make sure that there are young peers also with the health workers at the facility. If you find them, they're not there that day, they will tell you the day they are there. So speak to them so that you can work through these issues, and then you can start swallowing your medicine, because you need to go to the black beads so that you live a long and healthy life. 20, 30, 50 years with HIV, like any other person, becoming a doctor like me, this is what HIV is today. So you shouldn't have any problem taking your ARVs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to our beauty queens. Thanks to Dr. Esther. Guys out there, it is upon you to take the step to go and test. There are many testing options around. We have the Oral Quick. We have the self-testing kits. You can as well go to a clinic. Testing is free at all government medical facilities. And in case you are HIV positive, please start on treatment. It's not the end of the world. Don't forget, this program is brought to you by USAID. And please feel free to comment. You can share the link to all your friends, relatives, colleagues, and workmates. And as well, we have a number that you can send messages to in case you have any queries. Thank you. God bless and stay well.